How are you? I feel like I haven't seen you forever.
I know, I'm busy.
All right, I want to get rocking with this. Just want to set this up a little here.
Can I help you?
We're on. There it goes. Okay, hopefully it's live. Bill always sets this up for me. I think we did it though. Okay, we're on. Okay. Woo!
You're
I'm on. And we are in LA, Lower Alabama, where the remnants of Patricia are coming through. So my hair is a little frizzy, but I'm going to be strong. And I have an amazing lady here with me who does not want to be put on the thing, so I won't.
I'm hiding my hair.
Oh my gosh, but it's fine. You think? Okay. But I'm super excited to share these notes from this Lori Hogg workshop with you guys. And as Lori and her assistant said when we started Saturday morning, this isn't to confirm what you already know or necessarily to give you tips for yourself. I mean, even though, yes, we always need tips for ourselves, this is more for you to really take in this information for your clients. So as you're listening to this, don't just be thinking, you know, be thinking, how can this apply to my clients? And it's so much, but I'm just going to try to hit the highlights. I heard a little birdie say that I think she's going to be coming back in February. So I'm really hoping that we can all make the most of it. Oh, it's in Atlanta? Okay, got it. Got it. Gotcha. Well, Mary Beisel our national was talking about bringing her to Minneapolis after I was singing her praises today. Okay. So I'm going to dig right in. She did give us some resources that she really asked us not to duplicate. So I'm going to the best of my ability, give you this information. And there's some that, you know, I'll just be training over time that you'll be able to take your own notes on. Real quick, she shared her background, which I thought was really impressive. And again, you can go to her website. I'm not going to spend a bunch of time on that. But, you know, she's done Jennifer Lopez, Cameron Diaz. She worked for CNN as a makeup artist. So, I mean, she has a lot of credentials, and she's actually a Mary Kay consultant. And you may know her background a little bit, but Linda Tupin, and what is her beautiful Offspring director that is just, her name escapes me. But anyway, she's the one, they're the ones that kind of came across Lori and intersected and kind of introduced her to the Mary Kay world. But you can go to www.lorihogg.com, or she's on Instagram too, but her website, and she also has a Facebook fan page, worth it, because she strictly uses all Mary Kay products. So it's pretty neat. Okay, one thing she touched on really quick.
Is it H-O-G-G?
Lori is L-O-R-I, Hogg is H-O-G-G. And on Instagram, I think it's like Lori_Hogg_makeup. And great, she's just got great tools, great information. One thing she did talk about that I just want to branch out on, actually, this is something that you've talked about before, is bridal fairs. That doesn't do a whole lot for me personally. You know, I mean, I've never super utilized that, but she talked about that if you go to these bridal fairs, the booths are expensive, but if you share the expenses with a few of your consultant girlfriends and share the leads, that these women are looking for sharp quality makeup. And they're not going to be so much on the skincare at that point. You're going to sell them by your makeup display, by photographs, kind of a display board of photographs of people that you have done their makeup, and that's a really great way to get leads and bookings she talked about. So that's just something she suggested. She said the most faces she's ever done is she did 1,000 faces in a week. She did 1,000 faces in a week. She said she never wants to do it again, but she did. And I thought it was really neat. She talked about how your meetings are your gas station. That's where you get fueled back up. That's where you get your motivation, your ideas. She talked about seminar. She sung the praises of going to seminar, that it helps you really understand so many things about your Mary Kay opportunity. And again, this information that I'm going to share, this is really not about us. I mean, it will help us, but it's really about hopefully taking this information and to apply it for our customers. Okay, first of all, she went through our brush line, and even though she sells her own brushes, she made it very clear. She said, do not buy a single brush from me until you have the Mary Kay brush set. She said the Mary Kay brush set is where it's at. I know all the industry standards, and that's your starting point. And she talked about, and I loved this, and I totally see the need for it now, of everybody really needs 2 brush sets. One that actually has product on it, and then a set that she calls a naked set, for, you know, like setting your concealer with translucent powder, or doing some light blending where you're actually not putting it in the product. So I loved that. Or like the eyebrow brush, and I'm going to go into this a little bit more, but you know, that the brush part of it, using all that for your eyebrows, it's full of eyeshadow and product, so to have a clean one for, you know, fluffing things, putting the brow gel on, those kinds of things. She shared, and I showed you that little thing of the eyebrows matter, and it was that gorgeous picture of, I can't think of the actress's name, but it's just a beautiful picture of her, and then they photoshopped out the eyebrows, and just, she looked hideous. So that eyebrows are a big deal, and I'm going to go into that a little bit in more detail. She talked about blush is a huge deal. If it's too high, it gives you that rounded jowl, that older effect. If it's too low, it gives you a saggy face. And a rule of thumb, and you may know this, I never really knew the answer to this, but you should never have any, if you hold a line right there across the iris of your eye, you should not have any blush or bronzer or any other product on this side of it. And and she showed us an example of it when you come too close in, that it immediately darkens this and ages right here. And so to keep all that, and she said that when you're applying your makeup, and this is something to share with your customers, you know, we see ourselves like this, so we're not thinking about this. So that's why we're coming in too far right here. So just, that was a new thought for me, to keep everything, contour, bronzing, highlight, blush, everything here and back, and not any right here. I'm going to jump around a little bit, and let's see. Okay. She talked a lot about this eyebrow brush, and again, the comb part, she literally put right in the product that she was using to color the brows. She used either hazelnut, driftwood, or espresso, combed it right in the product, and then applied it to the brows like that, which I thought was kind of cool. She also said you can mist it with finishing spray, comb through the brows, and then use the brow gel to really set them. She said for our gel liner, and I loved what she said about our gel liner, and this was like a duh thought for me. I don't know about you guys, but sometimes my black eyeliner throughout the day will start to kind of turn blue on me. Have you ever done that? And so I put kohl eyeshadow over the top of it, but it still gets this blue effect throughout the day. Years ago, I used to put espresso over my black eyeliner, and that kept it a true black. Or she also talked about using deep brown eyeliner as your eyeliner, and then putting kohl over the top of it, and that'll keep that blue from coming through. And I'm getting ahead of myself, but she talked about a color wheel, and a lot of times when that bluish tint comes through, that will wash us out. But she said our gel eyeliner stays a totally true black, which you may have known that. And she said the tiny brush that comes with the gel eyeliner is only for practice, and then they really need to graduate to again the end of this brush, and they need to be using this angled tip for their gel eyeliner that little brush is just for practice. And she said it will rock their world when they start using, they'll have way more control when they have an angled brush that has a long handle. That's really important. I thought this was, she sung the praises of our liquid foundation brush. She said she has used everything, all different kind of brushes. She said the most expensive brush she's ever used was, I think she said it was a $700 brush for one brush. And she said our liquid foundation brush is the best in the industry, and for 10 bucks, you can't beat it. And she said if you hold most liquid foundation brushes like this and kind of pull back, she said the bristles kind of pop up. They're all different layers, and that creates streaking and not as smooth. But the fact that ours is that the bristles are all the same length is a big deal. The construction of the brush, the angle of the brush. And she said that if you have somebody that wants to use mineral powder foundation, but they want more coverage, they can apply it with the liquid foundation brush. Isn't that amazing? She said, you pat it in and then just lightly blend, and that will give you, that way you can be using mineral powder foundation, but that's going to give you max coverage using the mineral powder foundation. You guys have probably heard this before, but and she was real cute about it. Of course, she didn't put any other product down, and we should never put any other product down. When your clients bring up another brand, I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's MAC. I don't care if it's Wet n Wild. I always say, oh, you know, they have some great products in their line. I can see where you would love that. Always compliment. Don't ever put down another line. But she said, finally, she came out and said, Bare Minerals. And she said, you know, at your parties, people say, well, I've got my Bare Minerals. You know, what's the difference? She said that, and you probably have heard this before, that ours, that the term is called, they mill the powder, and which means they're cutting and shaving it until it's very, very fine. And most Bare Mineral and all other mineral powder foundations only get milled 3 times, and we go 2 more times. Ours are milled 5 times. And so that's why we're getting the best possible performance from that product. And it truly will only, ours will only, because of that, it will reduce the appearance of fine lines, and it will not collect or clump on the skin. And she said if somebody's really in love with their whatever brand and they bring it to your party, she said the best thing to do is, oh, that's great. Let's do yours on one side of your face and the Mary Can the other, and let's compare. and so that's kind of a naughty way of kind of showing that ours is better. Okay. Again, she said that our liquid foundation brush, she said to use it for every single foundation we have, including cream to powder. Now that was a new thought for me. This is mine, so the thing looks kind of scary, but you know, our liquid foundation brush is really wide and flat, and the bristles are coated. She said use this to apply cream to powder foundation. Yeah, and that it would just give a really smooth coverage. Let's see. Okay, she really went on, and I thought this was a new thought for me. She said, you know, keeping your brushes clean is imperative. And she said when a client comes to her that has acne, her very first question is not what skincare do you use or what's your, you know, regimen makeup. She said, how often do you clean your brushes? Dirty brushes could be the very reason that somebody has acne, and sometimes she's had people that they clean their brushes and their acne clears up. So, I mean, how cool is that? She said it's important to have a professional, obviously a professional level cleanser, brush cleaner when we're doing our parties. If people are passing brushes around and stuff like that, it's so important that you have something that totally disinfects and sanitizes. And she, of course, sells one. But she said people with acne need to clean their brushes after every single use. She said that she really talked about how oily. She had you just kind of rub your fingertips together like this for a minute, and she said, can you see already? You can feel that kind of smooth oil, that our fingertips are extremely oily. And again, when you're using that to apply makeup, that's kind of perpetuating that oil problem. She said all clear products you can apply with your fingers. So like that would be your foundation primer, your serums, you know, even like your moisturizers, obviously that kind of stuff. But any color product should always be applied with brushes. And she really was, she just despises sponges. I mean, she made me want to just run home and throw out every sponge I ever owned. She just went on and on about how it's just moving that oil and that dirt and that makeup around on your face. That if you use sponges for any kind of makeup application, that they should be thrown away after every single use. I'm gonna, you know, because I carry pressed powder in my purse, and I'm gonna throw away the sponge and put a brush in there. You know, I mean, you just don't use sponges. And then she said for your personal use brushes to get the bottle of Blue Dawn dish liquid. Don't get anything scented or crazy, just the Blue Dawn, the original blue. She said that it's really important to brush the brushes back and forth under the water with the soap to really get that makeup that's down towards the base. Run your finger across the brush. And then spray them with the Mary Kay brush cleaner throughout the week. So our brush cleaner is for throughout the week, every few times you use them, but that Dawn is for that deep cleaning. Then you form them and you set them on the counter so that they're not touching the counter, and then they can air dry overnight like that. So wash them at night with that Dawn. She said to wash new brushes and to tell your clients to wash new brushes immediately. That way, if there's any loose hairs that the glue didn't catch, they'll fall out and they won't get those little funny loose hairs when they're using them. I loved this. Okay, and I didn't get the chance to put the applicators in this, but she said, and I think this is totally brilliant. I didn't have a new set to bring, so I'm using my personal set. But she said you should put a brand new brush set in front of every person at every party, and you just do a little quick commercial about the brush sets and each brush, and then you say, now you are welcome to open up and use these brushes tonight if you want to take them home. And you share the price with them. If you know you're going to take these home tonight, you can actually open these up and use them. So you've got the brush set like this. Of course, all the new ones are in their plastic. And say, but if you don't want to use these tonight, and then you flip over to this side and you put all the little tiny sponge applicators and the cotton balls and stuff on this side. Say, that's totally fine. If you don't want to take this home tonight, that you don't feel like you have to, then here will be your applicators tonight. And you put and I loved that. And she said, do not discount our brush set. She said the price point is crazy, ridiculous, cheap for the quality of the brushes. She said our brushes should last, if someone takes good care of them, they should last somebody a lifetime. But she said a good incentive would be to offer a bottle of free brush cleaner for everybody that buys the brush set, because I mean that retails for $10, so that cost us $5. So I loved that. She had a lot of good, for lack of a better way of saying it, it's an upsell, but it's an upsell that benefits the customer. I mean, to have good brushes, that's going to totally benefit them. This is later in my notes, but she said a lot of times if you have a customer that just says, I need something new, I need something new. She said sometimes all they need is good brushes, and they'll feel like they totally have something new, even if their colors aren't changed. Now, of course, she said, I'm going to get to this, but if you're not using it, you're not going to know. So really your very first step is to get your own brush set so you're really working it. Okay, now again, I'm not supposed to reproduce this information, but this is a color wheel that she had in the workbook. I mean, you can Google color wheel. This is a basic color wheel, but this was so fascinating and, at the same time, kind of like an aha, duh moment. But, and I don't know how many of you guys had this in art class, cosmetology or art class in school, but a basic color wheel. And this was really important. She said, trends constantly change. We need to know basic complementary colors. I mean, you can always have fun with the trends, but we need to know how to give our clients what is going to be best with their skin tone and their eye color. And when we can do that, that's going to build customers for life. So I'm going to sound a little sciencey maybe, or maybe a little kindergarten to some of you, but she talked about the main primary colors are blue, red, and yellow. Nothing makes blue, red, and yellow. Those are pure colors. Like, you don't bring two colors together to make those colors. Those are pure colors. Blue and red make purple, of course. And again, I hope I'm not being too kindergarten, but to me, this like really, blue and yellow make green. Red and yellow make orange. She said opposites complement and fix. And when you can have color correction, you won't have to have over coverage. For instance, if someone has some real deep purple, sometimes we keep putting more and more and more concealer on, thinking, oh, she needs more concealer. Really what she needs is to mix that concealer with something pinky to offset the yellow that's in the yellow undertone that's in our concealer. So you're not gonna, so for instance, the beige 3 highlighting pen is very, very pink. So if you mix that, or if you mix one of the pinker foundations with their concealer, they're gonna be able to have a sheer level, a sheer layer of concealer instead of just trying to cake more and more concealer on to cover that purple. So it's color correction rather than over coverage. That's super important to understand because the more makeup you add adds age. And you know, if you're 20, that doesn't matter, but if you're 44, it matters. So, okay, so here we go. So someone with blue eyes, here's where you would use the color wheel. The opposite of blue on the color wheel is orange. So that's where she said you'd think not necessarily the color orange, but things with an orange, warm undertone. She said think sun, think fire, think warmth, like an amber blaze, a driftwood, a copper glow. That's what's gonna make those blue eyes pop because it's opposite. Okay, or if someone wants blue eyeshadow, sometimes we think and of course she went a whole funny thing about Mimi and blue eyeshadow and everything, but sometimes a little touch of blue can be pretty. And I've always thought this, she says, we always think to put blues with pinks and blues. But she said, actually, if someone wants blue eyeshadow, if you put it with peach, because it's an opposite, that's actually going to complement. And you know, forever we did the Auburn game day look was honey glaze, or not honey glaze, honey spice with midnight star, and it always looked gorgeous on people. And now I realize that combination was really good. So in cheeks, lips, and those kinds of things, you want to think peach if you've got blue eyeshadow or you want to make blue eyes pop. I thought that was brilliant because again, you guys can just Google a simple color wheel for this information for yourself. She said natural redheads, a lot of times people think, oh, if you're redhead, you should wear green. And that's not the case. She said, have you ever Googled or looked at, you know, celebrities with red hair on the red carpet? They do not have on green dresses. She said, actually, blue is what's going to complement. To put that redhead in a blue, her skin tone, everything is just going to be gorgeous. So again, you want to think about color correcting and neutralizing. Again, all of our concealers have a yellow undertone. So one of the tips that she gave was to mix a foundation or that beige 3 highlighting pen that's very, very pink. Or you could even do like Ivory 7 liquid foundation is extremely pink. So to mix that with your concealer is going to offset those purple circles. or a bluish tone, or like if somebody has blue veins, you know, sometimes people have blue veins, you could use that as your or really red spots on their face. Okay, let's see, green and reds. Okay, so if you have green eyes, and I'm going to give you her suggested eye combinations for the different eyes. You want to think pinks, copper glow, to neutralize rosacea, pink blemishes, pink scars. You want to find something with an olive, on one of our foundations with a strong olive undertone to either use as the concealer or to mix with the concealer. So that green is going to offset. And do you remember, you probably remember when we had the mint and the purple concealers and those? Yeah. Of course, those were to the extreme. Okay. Let's see. Okay, for hazel eyes. And let me just speak to this really quick because she was really strong on be very careful with your clients not to almost give them a complex, like point things out. Like sometimes we might point something out to them. They were like, oh gosh, I didn't even know that was a problem. You know what I'm saying? So like she said, she goes over the different eye shapes, you know, or the different face shapes. She said, nobody has a true heart shape or a true oval face. Don't put people in necessarily in those categories. She said, some people may have a heart forehead with a strong, you know, square jaw or whatever. You know, don't give your clients a complex. Ask lots of questions and ask what they want. So with hazel eyes, ask what color in her hazel does she want to bring out, because there's those flecks of all those different colors, and then whatever color she says, use the opposite on the color wheel to bring out those colors. I thought it was brilliant. Okay, and I love this workbook. And again, if maybe I'll have to do part 2, I don't know. I loved this. She talked about, did I already say this about the primer, about spraying with the finishing spray? I'm in love with this. She said, if you want rock solid, like it's not going anywhere foundation, after you put your foundation primer on all over, spray it with finishing spray before you go on to any other. And then of course you can end with finishing spray as well. But I love that. I've been doing that ever since I heard her say that. Okay, brown eyes. This goes into, we always tell brown-eyed people, well, oh good, you have brown eyes, well you can do anything. Well, they're tired of hearing that. They don't want to hear that. What we need to tell them is, awesome, you have brown eyes, we can make those pop regardless. And then, so what we want to look at instead of the eye color is, what is your skin tone? Because that's the better question. If they have pink skin, we want to put them in greens and earth tones. If they have olive undertones, we want to go to the rose pinks rather than mauve, so bright pinks. If they have yellow undertones, we want to put them in purples or royal blues. She said the At Play products are really good for that. She said if they're orange, either from a spray tan, or if they have like an Indian skin, or sometimes Latina skin, the darker Latina can have kind of an orangey. She said put them in teal and turquoise blue. She said if you've ever seen a fancy like Indian wedding, you know, they're all in those gorgeous teal and turquoise blues, and that looks amazing on them. So on them you would put bold berry instead of golden copper. Pinks with a blue undertone. Now, she was really big on how do you foundation match, and how do you, where do you look, where do you foundation match? And she said you do not, you know, we're always kind of told to go from here onto the neck, and she said, no, do not do that. And she said, look at their face, look up here, look where the sun hits them, look at their chest and their forearm. Don't look at their hand, and don't look at this lighter part, because when you do that, you're going to put the foundation on them, and what are they going to say? I look too light. We're not looking to perfectly match this because the sun never hits here. you know, we're looking to blend. I mean, we don't want a definite definition, but we want face and chest and arms to blend rather than, and then she did some cool things with like people, sometimes people medically are really, really red right here. And she did some cool stuff with one of the girls right there. Okay. Let me go back real quick to primers. She said cream eyeshadow is not a primer. I kind of always thought it was. And I feel like I've been told that before. So even if somebody wears the cream eyeshadows, they need to wear either foundation primer or eye primer. She said that our
It'll still crease.
It'll still crease if they don't use a primer. And she said that our eye primer has caffeine in it. And so if people have some kind of allergy or sensitivity to caffeine, they're not going to be able to use that product. So they could use our foundation primer as eye primer. She said this was something that I thought was pretty cool. Don't make a big deal about facial hair. Because again, you're going to give people, oh gosh, make sure you go down to lay down your facial hair. And they're thinking, oh my gosh, you know, I didn't know it was that noticeable, you know. She said, oh, I'm going to talk about that in a minute, but for large pores, she said when they apply their foundation primer, if they only go one way, it's not, they're still going to see that, you know, where it's going to sink into the pores. So she said it's really important for people with really, really large pores to go down with their foundation primer and then come back up again with another layer of it. She says don't use too much primer, but for large pores, you need to go down once and then take a little bit more and go up, and then that's going to totally fill in those edges to get a smoother appearance. But be careful to not apply too much and apply it in light layers. She talked a lot about HD approved stuff because of all the brides that she's done and all of the like network news and things, you know, that's kind of one of the catchphrases you'll hear people say. She says it's really important to educate brides, and they will ask if something is HD approved. Now, the thing with something that's HD approved, she said our Time-Wise liquid foundations are HD approved. And she said a lot of times when a bride or a special occasion makeup person is asking you that, they're asking you that because they want airbrush. And she said airbrush is not appropriate for weddings. She said because if you cry, it's going to streak. And she said there is nothing you can do with streaky airbrushed makeup. So this is what you need to educate your brides with. She said that our Time-Wise foundations are HD approved, but they don't have silicone in them. And that is important because if you had a true HD airbrush foundation for a special occasion, you're going to be shiny. There's no way, she said there's absolutely no way to mattify an HD foundation with silicone in it. Or for photographs.
What is HD?
Like high definition, like how your remember how like all of our TV channels kind of went over to HD.
They made that kind of foundation.
Right. Well, because she worked for CNN, because she said like, and that's
the flashes. You have to be careful with like sunscreen and things like that because it'll make you flash white.
Yep, exactly, and shiny. She said with when it has a silicone base in it, which our liquid foundations do not have the silicone base. Yeah, she said when she did makeup for like CNN and all of that, she had to do it where, you know, you hear like do your eyes first and then your foundation. She's like, I had to do that. She goes, I would get fired if I didn't. She said because she goes, if there was any little flecks or anything like that, it would totally magnify under that HD. Okay. Again, this is where she talked about face primer and then use your finishing spray over that before you put your foundation on. Rock my world. I'm like, oh my gosh. Again, she said, everything you use yourself, then you will be able to, she said, if you don't wear it, how can you share it? And she said, people appreciate honesty, not sales pitches. And so when you are using it and wearing it, you can truly tell people, give your honest feedback personally from it. Okay, this is what she said about foundations. I'm going to talk about matching foundations a little bit because she said people are still get kind of freaky about consultants about matching people with their foundation. And she said, we've got to stop that because so many people are, I'm still used to the medium coverage. She's like, no, it's time to learn these foundations. She said, give yourself a year and just start getting it on people's faces. She said, make mistakes. The more mistakes you make, the more you'll learn. She said, keep cool, don't panic, and they won't even know. And just ask lots of questions. It's like when I had my friend Josie here the other night, you know, I ended up putting her in a bronze 1, and I stopped, and it just was way too dark, way too yellow. And I just said, you know what, just lightly buff that off, and let's bump you up a little bit. You know, one of the ladies at the workshop, when Lori was talking about this, she's, well, you know, she's got real panicky. Well, what if I have to wipe it all off, and won't that wipe off her moisturizer and her primer? Will I have to start all over? You know, you just see the, and it was like, no, just take a cloth, lightly buff it off, and put on the next shade up or down. Like, if you keep your cool, they're going to appreciate that you're trying to help them get the right thing for them. And she said, again, ask lots of questions. She said the best rule of thumb is start with what you love and go from there. You know, when you're matching foundation, just look at her and go, is she lighter than me or darker than me? Think about what you wear and go up or down from there. You know what I'm saying? Okay, we already talked about our foundation brush. We talked about the points of where to find the undertone, the center of the face, the outer corner of the face, the top of the chest, and the top of the arms, not the neck, not the inside of the arm, not the top of the hand, because again, that can just totally vary. Okay, pink does not mean pale. And she said, because sometimes we see someone with that pink undertone and we put them in a foundation that's too light. She asked if any of us were into facial masking, and we said no. And she said, good, don't ever do that. And then we just moved on. And she said, and I love this, she said, do not use that foundation finder tool. She said, she goes, that's just kind of a crutch that they give to new consultants to make you feel better. But she said it'll give you 5 different options. You'll be more confused than ever, and none of them's the right one anyway, because you've got to get that foundation on the face to see what their pH level is going to do with it anyways. Okay, she said conceal only what you cannot cover with your foundation. So that confirmed what we've been doing, that you do your liquid foundation first, then go back with your concealer, because again, the more you're doing layer upon layer, that ages people. Yeah.
Did she say with large pores, you said to wipe it down and wipe it up? She should do that with the foundation too.
You know, she didn't say that.
But
She didn't say that.
Makes sense.
Right.
You have to fill it in that way.
Right.
I wonder if it would not apply more.
Right.
Just as you're putting it on, go down and go back.
That's a
I
good,
have large pores, I'll try.
okay, good.
Large pores, what you want to do is take a brush and twirl in between your nostrils.
Well, if you do
That
that, if
really-
I do that, because of my age, it sits right on. I can't.
Well,
do
I mean,
that.
you have to blend it out.
Even if I blend it
Sure,
out, it
but-
sits.
Oh,
Because
really?
I've got,
But I wonder if the down and the up
Because I've
might,
got large
might
pores too.
see, if you look, it's, because I'm 35. So
Oh,
see,
I'm the
I've got-
same way. Yeah.
I've got really bad, it just sits. So I
Well-
wonder if you go down, she's talking about going down with foundation primer and then going up.
to fill in those
To
pores.
fill in.
Yeah.
So just remember, you guys, light
Try swirling down.
light pulls
Look,
out,
just other books.
Okay. Yeah.
dark
And then
pulls in.
try using a beauty blender.
Yeah.
And this was huge to me, to not use too light of a concealer. So this is definitely a change that I've made. I was using, now I love the whole Megan McNair, really, really light underneath. But I'm 44. And she said that too light of a concealer on a more mature woman actually ages you, that you really should try to match your skin tone. So tonight, I've always done Ivory 2. Tonight I have on Beige 1. And I have it set with translucent powder.
Concealer under the eye.
Why is that? Why aren't you supposed to use the lighter?
She said it just ages you. She showed us a lot of like what not to do pictures. Like, and Eva Longoria just had this like hideous white under her eyes.
And it also depends on what you use. I don't think it's Mary Kay that does this, but a lot of products, especially concealer, flashes back in flash photography. So that's probably what she's talking about, because You just, I mean, you want to be able to brighten up the under eye, but you don't want it to flash back.
Mhm.
Because then that will make it look more white than
White.
it really is.
Yes, yes. Okay, so again, she talked about mixing it with foundation to get a softer look. And she could not talk enough about making sure, especially with more mature skin, that your eyes were hydrated. And she said her go-to were those jars of the
Oh, yeah, those jars.
intense
The big
the
jar.
intense moisture cream, or the purple is the oil free and the pink is
That's what
the,
my
and
mom used to
they retail for like $32. She said she just couldn't talk about that enough because you have to be so careful, like with, you know, your
So she puts
repair
on
and
the
your
eye
time was
area.
to hydrate underneath your eye products
It's
for
thick.
more mature women. Yeah,
It
I mean,
is
you know,
thick.
sparingly, but she said if that area is not properly hydrated,
So
that's gonna age you.
Is that on top of the eye cream?
She said just be really careful. Now, eye cream you can go all over, but she said be really careful about getting your moisturizers with SPF real close to your eyes. So she said hydrate with either of those, it would be appropriate.
Interesting. I'll try.
Pink will neutralize that purple, again, that purple dark circle.
Okay, so just to clarify,
Uh-huh.
she said don't use the eye cream around the eye area.
No,
Use the
do.
moisture cream.
No, do use your eye cream, but then to add extra hydrate, because
To do
she's,
both. Okay, did she give an age range of like?
She didn't. She
Okay.
didn't. But I would imagine anybody that's feeling kind of crepey and liney around their eyes, that's going to give you a smoother look. She said, and I thought this was so interesting, that our translucent powder has silica, and that is actually a filler that reduces the appearance of fine lines. And see, I was being so careful not to do that translucent powder around my eyes because I thought it was going to be cakey and matte. And she said it actually has an ingredient that reduces the appearance of fine lines. So I was super excited about that.
That's what you use for baking when you bake your face.
Well, she talked about baking too, but
Oh, she did.
she did. But anyway, okay. But she said not everyone needs mineral powder foundation. She said you can mattify and set with that translucent powder, and some people just want that color or that extra coverage with the mineral powder foundation. So, you know, I know for me, I've been using that translucent powder now for about a month with my mineral powder foundation, and I'm in love with it. And I know I have way undershowed that. I feel like a lot of people would really love that. Now, she did say if your brush, when you dip it in there, if it is white, you're using way too much. Like you need to apply that in really thin layers. Okay, so now we're going to move on to contouring and highlighting. She said again to be really, and again, she showed us big slides of just like, you know, horrible, what not to do. And she said that it's just almost overdone. All these YouTube videos and stuff. She said, don't use creams, use powders. Don't use any high shine. And she just really wanted to downplay that trend because she said so many people are doing it wrong. And so she's like, it's better not to do it than to do it horribly wrong. She said for a contour, though, if you wanted to do a powder, to do 2 shades darker than your mineral powder foundation. So take your mineral powder foundation you usually use and go 2 shades darker. And for a highlight, go 1 shade lighter. And she talked about strobing, which I thought was interesting, which is where you find that hollow of your cheek here, and you catch that contour here, and then you flick up like that. And she called that strobing. And I thought that was very, very interesting. And she loves our hazelnut eyeshadow. Now she said our bronzer is a really good all-purpose bronzer because it doesn't have too much shine in it, and it's a good color. But she had a compact filled with 6 hazelnut eyeshadows. And on her model, she ran her brush over, and that's what she used as her contour, was that hazelnut eyeshadow, and she flicked it up like that. But I loved what she said. She said our bronzer is a dual purpose bronzer. So you can use it for those sun-kissed areas or you can use it for your contouring. She said for highlighting for the more mature woman to use a skin tone shimmer. And she used just an eye brush and honey spice. And she highlighted with honey spice in here, the Cupid's bow over the eyebrow, and then of course in the highlighter in the eyes. So I thought that was interesting. She didn't want you to have something too shimmery or too light. And the temple, pull it down in the temple. And I thought this was fascinating. So there's your bronzer, there's your highlight. And she said makeup artists actually use a little, like your blush should just be a little skinny area and to use a small brush for applying your actual blush color. I thought that was so interesting. And again, we talked about this earlier, and this is a new thought for me, that you shouldn't have any contour, highlight, or color right in this area here. And again, she did it on herself, and you could just see the look and the dark right here from not leaving that just clean right in there. She gave some really pretty combinations: rose gold, amber blaze, and crystalline on bronze skin. She talked about that dual blushes are very, very popular. So that like our duals that we have right now are really good. She did not like the baking. For younger skin, you can bake all day long, but she said for mature skin, it's gonna age. It's gonna catch in the lines and it's gonna age. This was fascinating to me, and this is something that I'm playing with right now. She said that you really should remove your makeup before you cleanse your skin. She said that's, yeah, so she said use our Time-Wise wipes and eye makeup remover. She said this is something that I'm kind of playing with. She said a popular trend right now is to actually remove your makeup with olive oil because it's a natural. And so the other night I tried it with coconut oil because I have a big tub of coconut oil for my ethnic hair on my counter. And so I took off all my makeup with coconut oil, and then I used my cleanser with my Skin Vigorate brush, and my face felt amazing. So I thought that was something really interesting. So she said anybody that buys a cleanser from her, because she's a consultant as well, she says you got to have a pack of the Time-Wise cleansing wipes and your eye makeup remover too. You got to take your makeup off first. She said otherwise you're just moving around dirt and oil and product. She said it's not called a makeup removing brush. It's called a Skin Vigorate brush. So you got to get that makeup off first to get the benefits of your cleanser. Totally new thought for me. I mean, to me, your cleanser is your face wash, you know. She said shimmer is geared towards more mature skin. You just have to know how to apply it. She says we always think that if we get over a certain age that we can't wear shimmer anymore. And she said that's not true. She said, but you've got to mix matte and shimmer, and really at any age to mix matte and shimmer. She said if it's all shimmer, you get a mother of pearl effect. I had never thought about that before. I'm like, totally. And that's what I've been doing. I've been wearing, and I'm not 100% tonight, but I've been wearing crystalline all over, chocolate kiss, French roast, and then tried to mattify it a little bit with kohl. And tonight I have on just a warmer, I have honey spice, which I've never worn honey spice, with hazelnut, espresso, and kohl. And then I put, this is something we said earlier, I put espresso over my black eyeliner, and this is in my notes right here too, so I'll just say this again. Sometimes when you wear black eyeliner, it starts to kind of turn in the day. I don't know if you've had that. And years ago, I would always put espresso over my black eyeliner, and it stayed true. Well, lately, I mean, over the last, I don't know, 6 months to a year, I've been putting kohl over my black eyeliner, and it still turns bluish, you know.
Yeah.
But she said either use brown eyeliner and put kohl over it,
Mhm.
or you can do black and put the espresso over it. And I'm like, I totally used to do that, and it worked
It
like a
makes the
charm.
eyelashes appear fuller too.
Mhm.
You do an eyeshadow instead of the eyeliner
Mhm.
or both.
Mm-hmm. Of course, she could not, and then set your liners, she said, with translucent powder, because again, it turns clear. So right after you apply it, use a little thin brush to put that translucent powder over the top. She said any whiteness is going to disappear and it's going to be clear. Of course, she could not say enough to do your eyes first, then your foundation. That way you just don't get any smudge or any cleanup down here. But if you just have to do your foundation first, then hold a sponge underneath while you do your eye makeup to keep it from all that, you know, flecks from getting mixed in with your foundation. She talked a lot about mixing mascaras and wearing brow gel over the top of your mascara. She said if you mix mascaras, put on your brown first and then put your black over the top. And she said to get the look of those fiber lash mascaras, and she's done Cameron Diaz makeup. She's done, she name dropped like crazy. Cameron Diaz and Jennifer Lopez, and I mean, she just went on and on, different people. And so she's used all kind of different product lines. She's worked for different product lines. She's worked for CNN as a makeup artist. She's done all of these things. And she does not like the fiber lash line that's out there that's kind of popular right now. She just wasn't excited about it. She said, but for that look, if somebody wants that look, to do their mascara and then put translucent powder on with a smudge brush and then put more mascara on. So definitely something to experiment with. Have you done that?
Works.
Does it?
Yeah. Makes them fuller too.
She said, and she brought a woman up there, this beautiful lady who was, she brought models of all ages up there and all sizes, all colors. She had a beautiful bronze lady and she really did a mixture of people. It was super fun to watch her do people. But she brought up a woman with silver hair, skin that was more pale, and did the most beautiful eye look on her. And she said the only difference with a more mature eye is to actually do a wide upper line in their eyeliner. Make sure their upper eyeliner, it has a really nice depth to it. And this woman just looked amazing. Of course, use your mattes in your crease. And she said do your crease first, then go back and do your lid and your highlight. And that's a new thing for me. I don't know, you guys probably do that, but that's a new thought for me.
Go back and forth.
Do you? One of her favorite combinations, hazelnut, driftwood, honey spice, and espresso. Now I was playing with that driftwood at the event, and it just, there's something about it that turned kind of pink on me. I couldn't get it to not turn pink on me, so I aborted that. But that, I mean, everything. I could put on bright orange lipstick and it turns pink on me. There's something with my, but start in your crease with your matte and then bring your shimmer back in on your lid and your highlight. She did a look on a bronze woman where she took, and she said you can do this on any skin tone, but she took our black gel eyeliner and she actually put it all over her bottom lid. She set it with translucent powder and then put brilliant black eyeshadow over the top of it, and then espresso in the crease, and then did polished stone up here. It was like amazing. The woman was a dark bronze woman. Bronze.
Not a lot shows up.
Yeah, and it was her bronze 7 was her foundation shade, and it was gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. She did another one with granite on the lid and then kohl and espresso that was beautiful. She did lip bundles that I'm going to talk about in a minute. She said it's important to sell a lip bundle with a bold, a sheer, and I'll read those off to you guys. She said for thin lips that our shade 2 highlight pen drawn around the lip line and matted and patted in. And then she said, you know, of course, to make the lips a little bit fuller, just barely go outside that lip line, but like a little too much and it looks ridiculous. But do that shade 2 highlight pen, just barely follow around with the lip liner, the natural lip line, and then use translucent powder around the lips. And I'm going to go into more, I'm going to go into some of the stuff from her workbook as well. I mean, a lot of this is in the workbook. You're okay?
I got it wrong.
Oh, is everything okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's really early. But
Did you ever get your 4 extra books? That's those right there.
what will this be up?
The link immediately.
Okay, so I can finish it. tonight.
Yes, yes.
Okay, perfect.
Bye. Hey, will you hit the air up just to make the air just a little bit not as cold? Perfect. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Bye. Something I really thought was cool. Here comes Switchy over here. Something I really thought was cool is she spent the last, I mean, here's this woman. She was adorable. I don't know if you saw the pictures of her.
I did,
She looked
yeah.
like Madonna
Yeah.
to me, but she spent like the last 20 minutes of her presentation showing examples of how things were photoshopped.
Mm-hmm.
And she went on and on about how we as women, our daughters, we look at these pictures in this magazine and we think, I want to look like that. She's like, they don't even look like that. Yes. And she, you know, was saying how like Cameron Diaz has horrible cystic acne. She's, yeah, she showed pictures.
Wow.
She said Jennifer Lopez has terrible skin. She said they actually have to put some kind of product on to like rebuild their skin before they even put their makeup on. And they showed different photoshops of like what they do with women's bodies and how they just alter and change things to where, and she even showed one where a guy was trying to just prove a point. He snapped a picture of a homeless man and, you know, his teeth were broken out and stuff. And then he took it and photoshopped it. And the guy looked like he should be a millionaire on a golf course, you know.
Yeah.
And so she really hit on that because she was like, embrace like being a human being. You know what I'm saying? Like you're, you know, if you're aging and maturing, those lines make you beautiful. They show your wisdom. You know, you shouldn't be stick skinny or, you know, so skinny that you look ill, or, you know, or even they showed one picture where a girl was really thin and then they added, you know, boobs and hips to her. You know, she's like, this isn't real. Like embrace, you know, yes, get tips and tricks and all of that stuff, but don't be obsessed with these pictures you see in the magazine because it's not reality. And then she showed some pictures of just like ridiculous, over the top, basically Photoshop mistakes to where you could see like, oh my gosh, this isn't even real. So I thought it was pretty cool that somebody that's worked in the industry as long as she has had that kind of perspective. I thought that was pretty cool. She gave us some amazing foundation charts. And again, I can't say enough. I'm going to email out our foundation conversion chart. But the important thing to remember is the 4s and the 6s are muted tones that are less colorful, very, very neutral. The 3s and the 5s have more pigment and have more color in them. And she couldn't say enough. And one of the smartest things, and you guys have heard me say this a million times, when they launched these new Time-Wise liquid foundations, one of the smartest things they did is they gave us a challenge to stripe test 30 faces. You didn't have to facial them, you didn't have to do their makeup, just stripe test 30 faces. And so literally I had a tracking sheet 1 through 30. And I mean, I was like having lunch with a friend. I'd say, okay, jump in the car and I'm gonna, you know, stripe. So I was literally like, Melissa was beige 3, Susie was ivory this, so-and-so was this. And in stripe testing 30 faces and then having that record of remembering, okay, this person was a light beige with red hair and she ended up being this. That's how I really learned our foundations. But again, still, you know, sometimes it's trial and error. Just get it on their face. But she said if somebody turns really orange or really pink or really yellow, like you get something on and there's a you can just see that
Reaction.
pigmentation. Well, not necessarily reaction, but the color just really comes out in their face. Like for me, things turn really pink on me, so I have to make sure that I use beige 4 because it's one of the more muted tones, so that pigmentation doesn't come out. Let me see. I loved it. When she comes back, you have to go. You would have loved her.
Yeah. I wish I could have gone.
You would have loved her. And there's so much more to this, and we can even play with some of these things. See, I mean, look at all these lip combinations she suggested. Here's the perfect red lip. Here's a chart to help you find the best red possible for your skin tone. Our really red has an orange-red undertone. It can almost look like a deep coral. The color called red has a blue-red undertone. May sometimes turn pinkish, like on me, that color would turn pink. Firecracker in the True Dimensions is a blue-red undertone. Sizzling red is a brick red undertone. And Rockin' Red is a true red. It should not come out pink or coral. And she's got more. Here's eyebrows. Brows are sisters, not twins. So she said, don't make yourself crazy trying to make them exactly the same. She said, if your hair is light blonde, use, of course, our blonde pencil or a hazelnut eyeshadow. Medium to dark blonde, use blonde, classic blonde, hazelnut, or driftwood. Now, again, I tried the driftwood and it started turning kind of pinky on me. I tried the hazelnut. It was just too light. I had to go back to that espresso. She said medium to dark brown, use brunette or driftwood, and very dark brown to black, use brunette, brow pencil, or espresso. She said if your hair is silver or gray, granite is beautiful, or of course the blonde pencils. And I know you know this tip, but for some of you that have never heard this before, to know kind of where your brow should start and stop, you take that straight edge, tip of the nose, edge of the eye. Your brow should not come any further down from here. That's where they should end, is right there. And then if you do tip of the nose, corner of the eye, they shouldn't come any further here. So that's your starting and stopping. Then if you do tip of the nose, right through the middle, that's where your arch should be. Now, one of my life regrets is I've tweezed my eyebrows too thin. I wish, I mean, I could have brows that look like yours, but it is what it is. Don't over tweeze. There's your tip for the day. She talked a lot about brow gel. She loves the brow gel, and something that I thought was really cool. You know, for me, I apply my brow powder, my espresso powder, with that flat smudge brush. But she took the brush of the eyebrow brush and dipped it in the powder and scrunched it back and forth like this, and then applied it like that. And I know it was cool. And then she sprayed the comb with finishing spray and combed it, and then she did brow gel, and it was beautiful. Loved it. Okay, here's her eyeshadow combinations to really make the certain eye color pop. And again, we can learn trends, but we've got to learn classic, what's going to make our customers look the best, and then we can always play with the trends. For green eyes, she suggests a combination of Copper Glow, Truffle, Sweet Plum, and Precious Pink. Any of those combinations are going to make that green eye pop. For blue eyes, Amber Blaze, she talked about that color a lot actually, driftwood, rose gold, and French roast. For gray eyes, any combination of ballerina pink, iris, spun silk, and shimmering lilac. All of those would be, well, that sounds amazing on gray eyes. For a golden eye, lavender fog, truffle, iris, and granite. And then for brown eyes, any combination of midnight star, brilliant black, truffle, and emerald. Now, she, again, really talked about not, you know, if our customer has a kind of a puffier eye, she said, don't go saying, okay, because you have bug eyes, or, you know, you have a hooded eye that's really hanging down. She says, don't give them a complex about it. You know what I'm saying? Because they're, you know, you are not a surgeon, you know, so try not to overly lock them into their eye shape and their face shape. Just encourage them, ask lots of questions, and encourage them. You know, she said, like for wide set eyes, she said that, you know, the kind of the tip is, you know, to really come in here and make it dark in here. And she was like, I don't agree with that. She goes, I think everybody should have their eye makeup out like this to enhance their eyes. So she said, just be really careful about not overly. Of course, she has tips for all of that, and those are things that we can play with our clients. Okay. She said to really load that mascara on the root by going back and forth like this when you're applying your mascara. And she couldn't say enough about layering your mascara. And so I'm gonna experiment with that and get a Black Brown Ultimate mascara and wear it underneath my Lash Love mascara.
Yeah.
I'm gonna play with that. I'm excited about that. Yeah.
That sounds neat.
Yeah, and somebody asked her about minking, and she's, oh, that's just crazy. Minking is where you do brown mascara and then just catch the tips with black, and she just thought that was crazy. She said, don't do that. Yeah. She was really big on our lash and brow primer, or not primer, the lash and brow serum that builds the lashes and can actually build back your eyebrows as well. She touched on that. Yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. So that is about, I mean, there's so much more that I could do, but that was kind of the highlights. Again, I'll go back and watch this and make sure that I didn't miss anything, but it was really fun just to get those extra little tips and tricks. You'll have to go back and watch the first part of it where we talked about the brush set, but I really encourage you to get your own brush set and really start working with that. I think you'll fall in love with that. Just like she said at one point, if you have a client that just wants something different, sometimes they may not even need new colors, just introducing them to the brush set. And I think it's a brilliant idea to offer, when somebody buys the brush set, to offer them the brush cleaner for free. I think that's a great. So want to remind you guys about double credit. Every wholesale order you place in the month of October through the end of October, Halloween's going to be our last night, you actually will get double credit with the company. So what that means for you personally is if you're going either for national court of sales or the BISL court of sales, or even in your ranking in our unit by June 30th of 2016, whatever wholesale orders you place this month, you're going to have double credit, double retail credit for that in the month, and you can max out at 2,000 wholesale. Is going to count as 8,000 retail. So that's what I'm personally going for. And then unit-wise, whatever wholesale we all do together as a unit will be, our retail will be doubled. So we can max out at 20,000. That's going to count for 80,000 retail for Unit Club. For our Standing at Career Conference, you know, it's always been our dream to be in the top 10 at Career Conference. And so every order, large or small, will count, you guys. So please reach out to me. Let me know how I best can support you. If you need anything from me, I'm here. I'm running with you, and I'm so incredibly grateful for you. Also, I'm going to be posting our national said today in our director call that for every consultant that does a cumulative 600 wholesale in the month, 1,000 and 2,000 cumulative in the month of October for the entire month, she's going to do drawings. She's going to do drawings for cash, for tablets, and for Michael Kors and Coach purses. So I'm going to post that flyer. So you guys it's really just a matter of opportunities all around you. It's just a matter of dropping off books to different customers that you know, different offices where you have groups of customers. I've been just burning up the phones, checking in with everybody that I can think of. I, of course, am running that special giving the free Skinvigorate brush for a skincare set purchase. I realize that if somebody buys a Clearproof set, that you're pretty much breaking even. But man, to get to 100 solid skincare customers is huge, you guys. That's going to create reorders. You know, I was thinking about it earlier today that when, you know, I can go and get fun color in my hair or get a new cut or whatever, but when I have shampoo and conditioner and hairspray and a hair treatment that makes my hair be healthy and look good and do what I want all the time, I'm going to go back for those core products over and over and over again, no matter what cut or color I'm doing with my hair. And that's the same with the skincare. So when we have people that are loyal to us because their skin is really healthy and looking its best, that's a strong client base right there, you guys. So really work on building your skincare customers. You don't have to offer them the Skinvigorate brush if you don't want to. You could offer them, you know, something of a lesser value, maybe a free oil-free eye makeup remover or something like that, something that would be kind of cross-marketing. So I love you guys. Thank you so much. Go to Lori's website, you guys. She has some DVDs. She has one in particular that I'm thinking about purchasing for us to use in our training as well. And I love you guys. You're the best. Mwah.